So you're retiring. How do you come to make that decision?
Um, just kind of, hitting age 50 and having close to 25 years of service with the police department. It kind of, I talked it over with my family and just said, hey, maybe it's time to pass the reins to, the next generation coming up.
Um, so then you kind of already started speaking that, but why did you decide to make the decision?
I felt like I had a pretty good run as chief. I've got to do a lot of the things that I set out to do when I became chief, which was, provide stability to the department through hiring and retention, training the command staff and the sergeants. But we had a rough go of it. If you remember, my first day was a house party shooting. We've had several critical incidents since then. So it's kind of been a trying time. But I also have some private sector industry offers that I'm kind of considering. So all in all, it just kind of felt like the right time to pass the torch.
So what are like some of those private sector things that you're considering?
I'm considering like there's an insurance route and then also like a software route, but both of them have kind of a law enforcement nexus, if you will. They both serve law enforcement clients and stuff in government.
So you're not completely leaving.
Not completely leaving the big show, if you will. I'm going to miss the people here, though, but I feel empowered by the fact that I could still be helping police departments, either through becoming more efficient or becoming safer or reducing risk. So, if you will, it's just sort of the next evolution than it is completely leaving the game.
So how does it feel to now be so close to retiring?
Uh, it's uh, it's really kind of strange in a way. I don't think anybody ever pictures themselves like, oh, I'm retirement age. I still picture myself as a teenager, although that's not the case. But, so it's kind of weird in that respect. But also, too, as we make the transition here at the police department with the interim chief and getting other people in different positions, it's just kind of neat to see people that I've helped train or cultivate into leaders, getting them pushed into those positions. So it's still rewarding.
Yeah. Well, kind of going off of that, with over 20 years of experience with the Macomb Police Department, how have you seen it changed and how have you changed?
Sure. So there's been so many changes. When I came on the police department in '01, I want to say we were about a year away from dash cams in cars, and now that's just so standard. Body cams are standard. Drones are entering the police market. We don't have any here, but um, there's also license plate readers, which we have that technology. So like the embracing technology and that sort of industrial explosion, if you will, in that respect, that's been huge. Some of the legislative changes have been uh, an obstacle to deal with. I'm all for police reform, but I think we're starting to see some of the shortcomings in some of the laws that have been passed over the last 3 years. But that all that is just challenges for law enforcement to stay connected to the legislators, stay connected to the people they serve, and find out the best method to provide fast, effective police services.
Um, what were some of the laws that you like?
Sure. So Safety Act, had some good police reform things in there as far as like, no chokes and rendering aid and a duty to intervene. I think that's all stuff that the public and police can get behind. But sometimes the troubling stuff is the pretrial release where some of our chronic offenders, trespassers and some of the lower order crimes, if you will, um, prior to Safety Act, they would spend a night or a weekend or a week in jail, and then they were kind of removed from the problem. And then during that week, maybe they could get services for addiction or food if they had food scarcity issues, or even just getting shelter if they had homelessness issues. All that's been taken away with the pretrial release. There's just sometimes no incentive for those people facing those troubles to do the right thing. But I think that just means law enforcement has to change. And I think partly we've, here at the Macomb Police Department, we have a social service advocate, Sally Vajetzi. I think she makes inroads there, but Sometimes it's with limited success when people are facing mental illness, homelessness, and addiction issues. It's just tough because there doesn't seem to be another social service agency that's able to do all those things with the scale that we see it. So it's just been a little troubling.
So what are some things that you kind of hope to see get better for the police department, even as you step away?
Sure. I'm confident that the department is in good hands with the leadership that we have. I would love to see them continue to police forward with dignity and respect. That's been a tenet of mine and previous chiefs as well. I think that's paramount, treating people with dignity and respect. Even if the person has to go to jail, you can still treat them with a modicum of respect, and that pays dividends across time. I've seen that in the arc of my 24, 25-year career. And then, and I think remaining engaged to the community, engaged to the people here. I looked at this title, this position, as a method to serve the people that work here. It's not, they didn't work for me, I worked for them in a way. And so I would love to see that kind of philosophy continue, and I think that it will.
So then how have you changed as a person?
Well, it's, I got into law enforcement, to, like everybody, I think they start out wanting to put bad guys in jail or something like that. And then you quickly realize that's not all what law enforcement is. It's not just law enforcement enforcing the laws, it's policing, it's caring for people, treating them with dignity and respect, finding out the underlying social issue. And sometimes it's about making an impact in somebody's life. And some days we don't know that we've made that impact until years later. Case in point, one of my favorite memories from this 25-year career, a young female was in a domestic violence relationship, and whatever happened and whatever I said that night to her made her years later, when she saw me, say, "Hey, you don't remember me, but you got me out of that situation because something you said that night, and it did take a while, but it was because of you." So for me, I can rest easy on a 25-year career knowing that I made a difference in somebody's life. And that's what it's all about for me.
Are there any other really impactful memories, either really impacting the community or just the relationships that you've met at the department?
Sure. Relationships at the department, we have been through a lot together. We train together, go to calls together, watch each other's backs, make sure we're not hurt or anything. But I think the last few years as chief, I've really made inroads, because of the title and the position, to make inroads into boards that work towards worthy goals. I would cite the WIU's Anti-Racism Task Force, the Shared Community Action Group. It's basically what I identified as what I love about Macomb, which is this fabric of people that care about each other. And it was one of the reasons why I picked to live in Macomb and have a career here as opposed to moving back to the suburbs. And that was, people here genuinely care about each other. You see it when you're at a stop sign and somebody's waving you forward. You see it when you're in line at the post office and they greet you by name sometimes, So Macomb is a great little town that you can't get everywhere. And so I really love serving the people here and here in the station, but serving the people of the community.
Is there anything else that you wanted to mention about your time?
I would just add, policing and law enforcement is a noble and worthy career, and I fully believe that. So if you're a young person out there thinking of, somehow you want to make a difference, and, whether it be a hero or, to me, the hero is in opening car doors at the schools and giving high fives to kids. The kids remember that, and or you visit their lemonade stand in the summer. That's being a hero, because not every day we're catching a bank robber, but every day we can make a difference in somebody's life here in the community we serve. So I would say if you're a young man or woman out there, let's think of policing as a career, and come see us. We're always testing.
Sorry, my last question is
Sure.
just, are you going to be doing anything with helping the lieutenant in that interim chief?
Sure,
Position?
sure. So the interim chief is Lieutenant Todd Tedrow. He and I have already begun working together, along with the operations commander Troy Shadell, not only for a smooth transition, but to get everybody further down the chain of command used to and in the right positions. So Todd leaves a vacancy in the detective unit, so we're kind of moving all the pieces around and trying to be do that with as little as disruption as possible. So he and I will be working together with the rest of the command staff into December, and then of course the search for the chief will continue on after the new year.